Luxury brands don't simply operate in the business of creating high-quality goods. They operate in the realm of perception. It's not just the leather, the stitching, or the precision engineering. It's the feeling those things evoke in the mind of the consumer. A luxury handbag isn't merely a bag. It's a statement. A designer watch doesn't only tell time, it tells the world who you are. For decades, high-end brands have mastered the art of perception, crafting identities that go far beyond the functional use of their products. And when a person engages with a luxury product, they're not just buying a physical item, they're buying into an idea. That idea, carefully manufactured through branding, storytelling, and symbolism, is rooted in how we perceive value and identity. The psychology behind luxury branding is less about logic and more about emotion. Our brains don't always make decisions based on rational analysis. Instead, we're influenced by subtle cues, emotional triggers, and social signals. For instance, when someone sees the gold emblem on a Mercedes-Benz or the interlocking C's of a Chanel logo, they don't just see a brand. They feel something. That feeling might be confidence, aspiration, envy, or even admiration. It's a reaction that's been conditioned over years of exposure to advertising, media portrayals, and social reinforcement. In this way, luxury becomes symbolic. It serves as a mental shortcut for things like wealth, power, status, and taste. A key principle that luxury brands understand is that perception is reality. If a product is perceived as luxurious, it becomes luxurious, regardless of the cost of production. That's why some luxury goods may cost a few $100s to make, yet retail for thousands. The price tag is less about material value and more about psychological positioning. It's a phenomenon called perceived value, where something is deemed more valuable because of its price, exclusivity, or branding. Our minds equate higher price with higher quality, even if we can't quantify why. We trust that if something is expensive, it must be better. This cognitive bias is what luxury brands count on, and it works generation after generation. This perception of luxury is shaped early in life. From childhood, people are exposed to cultural signals about what's desirable, what's aspirational, and what defines success. Think about movies where the rich wear designer clothes, live in massive homes, and drive luxury cars. Media reinforces the idea that these brands are tied to elite lifestyles. Over time, the human brain begins to associate certain logos or names with wealth, sophistication, and superiority. These associations become automatic. So, when someone sees a person carrying a Hermes Birkin bag, the brain immediately attaches all those cultural meanings to that image: exclusivity, elegance, influence. What makes this even more powerful is the social proof embedded in luxury branding. When influential people, celebrities, athletes, business moguls, use luxury products, they become walking billboards for the brand's narrative. Their lifestyle validates the brand's message, making it desirable to the masses. This taps into a psychological bias known as the halo effect, where positive impressions in one area, like a celebrity's image, extend to influence perceptions in another area, like the product they're using. So, if a celebrity who's seen as stylish and successful wears a certain designer suit, that suit becomes aspirational for people who admire them. Luxury brands meticulously craft every detail to influence perception. The packaging, the lighting in the store, the way salespeople greet customers, all of it is engineered to create a certain feeling. There's often soft music, velvet seating, personal attention, and an atmosphere of calm exclusivity. This isn't accidental. The entire retail environment is designed to slow down time, create emotional elevation, and make customers feel important. And when someone feels important, they're more likely to make decisions based on emotion rather than price. That's a win for luxury retailers. Even the way luxury products are advertised is rooted in psychology. You won't find loud, aggressive sales tactics. Instead, luxury ads are minimalistic, elegant, and abstract. They evoke feelings more than they explain features. You might see a silent video of a model walking through Paris wearing a flowing designer dress, or a slow-motion shot of a car driving through a mountain pass. These visuals don't need to sell the product, they sell the dream. They bypass the logical brain and go straight for the emotional core. This emotional appeal is what sets luxury branding apart. People buy luxury not just to own, but to express. A Rolex isn't about timekeeping, it's about making a statement without saying a word. A pair of red-bottom Louboutins doesn't exist just to protect your feet. It exists to be seen, to be recognized, and to communicate something deeper about who you are. This form of signaling is known as conspicuous consumption. It's when people use luxury goods as social symbols to convey status, wealth, or taste. And it's deeply embedded in human behavior. From ancient times, people have adorned themselves with rare items to stand out and to elevate their position within social hierarchies. In modern society, where branding is everywhere, this symbolic consumption becomes even more powerful. A luxury car parked in a driveway isn't just transportation, it's a signal to neighbors, coworkers, and even strangers about lifestyle and achievement. And luxury brands understand this dynamic perfectly. They lean into it by limiting access, raising prices, and curating exclusivity. The harder something is to get, the more desirable it becomes. And when people finally get it, they feel a surge of pride, not just because of the item itself, but because of what it represents in their personal story. This emotional attachment to luxury is not purely superficial. It's psychological. Studies have shown that owning or even just wearing luxury items can boost self-esteem, increase confidence, and alter behavior. People who wear designer clothes tend to rate themselves higher in attractiveness and status. They're also perceived differently by others, often viewed as more successful, capable, and desirable. This loop of internal validation and external recognition reinforces the desire to engage with luxury again. It's a feedback loop of perception. Another layer to this is how people use luxury to bridge gaps in identity. If someone feels insecure about their financial status or social standing, buying a high-end product can offer a sense of control or upliftment. It becomes a tool to close the gap between who they are and who they want to be. This is called compensatory consumption, a behavior where people buy products to compensate for emotional deficits. Luxury brands become more than just businesses. They become enablers of identity transformation. The packaging of a luxury item is a ritual in itself. Unboxing a high-end product is a sensory experience. The weight of the box, the smoothness of the ribbon, the feel of the paper, it all contributes to the perception of luxury. Even the smell of the packaging is deliberate. All these sensory cues work together to create a dopamine response in the brain. It's not just about receiving a product, it's about receiving an experience. And in a world driven by digital immediacy, this tactile experience becomes even more rare and valuable. Luxury also leverages the psychology of aspiration. People are drawn to brands that represent what they aspire to become. When someone buys a luxury product, they're often buying into a version of their future self, the successful, stylish, elevated version they hope to achieve. This future-oriented thinking is a powerful motivator. It means that luxury purchases aren't always about the present. They're investments in identity, confidence, and social capital. On a neurological level, studies using brain scans have shown that luxury brands activate the reward centers of the brain more than non-luxury brands. This means people literally feel more pleasure when they interact with luxury items. The brain releases dopamine, the same chemical involved in feelings of love, motivation, and pleasure. It's not just about vanity, it's a biological response. That's why people form emotional attachments to brands. They're not just buying logos, they're chasing a feeling. Trust also plays a crucial role in luxury branding. Consumers believe that luxury brands will deliver exceptional quality and service. Even if they never test those limits, the belief is strong enough to justify the price. This trust is built through consistency, craftsmanship, and time. A brand like Cartier or Bentley has spent decades, sometimes centuries, earning that trust. It's not something that can be bought or faked. And once established, this trust becomes part of the brand's perception halo. And luxury. Everything matters. The typeface on the label, the spacing of the logo, the weight of the product, each element has to be precise. These subtle details register subconsciously in the consumer's mind. We may not be able to articulate why a Louis Vuitton store feels different from a regular department store, but we feel it. That feeling is the result of intentional design. The architecture, lighting, layout, and even scent are all carefully curated to enhance perception. Luxury branding also operates through the lens of exclusivity. A key psychological driver of perceived value is the feeling that not everyone can have it. Limited editions, invite-only releases, and waitlists play into the scarcity principle. When something is perceived as rare, it becomes more desirable. This taps into a survival-based instinct in the human brain. We want what we think we can't have. And when we finally get it, we guard it, show it off, and attach deeper meaning to it. Cultural context also shapes luxury perception. In America, luxury might symbolize individual success and freedom. In Europe, it might represent heritage and tradition. In Asia, it may signify family honor and collective status. Luxury brands adjust their messaging depending on the market, but the core psychology remains the same. No matter the region, people want to feel special, respected, and elevated. Luxury provides that in a tangible way. At its core, the power of perception in luxury branding is about manipulating symbols. Brands become symbols, logos become status signals, and products become emotional triggers. This symbolic power is what allows a handbag to be more than just a container, a car to be more than just a machine, and a watch to be more than a timepiece. Perception turns objects into meaning, and meaning is what luxury ultimately sells. Scarcity and exclusivity aren't just marketing tactics, they are psychological tools that luxury brands use to control desire. When something is hard to get, our brains immediately assign it more value. It's a principle rooted in basic human psychology. People want what they can't have. The more unattainable an object appears, the more desirable it becomes. Luxury brands fully understand this and have built entire strategies around restricting access to their products. This isn't about selling as much as possible to as many people as possible. It's about creating a sense of importance around the few who do manage to get their hands on something rare. That emotional response, envy from others and pride in oneself, becomes part of the product's appeal. This concept is formally known as the scarcity effect. It's been studied extensively in behavioral psychology, showing that people are more likely to value an object or experience when it is perceived as limited in quantity or availability. Scarcity triggers a kind of internal alarm. It tells our brain that something is in demand and that we may lose the opportunity to get it. That fear of missing out, or FOMO, drives action. It causes people to act quickly, often irrationally, just to avoid the feeling of regret that comes with not owning the item. Luxury brands thrive in this space. They purposely create the illusion of scarcity even when supply is available. Whether it's a bag, a watch, a car, or a pair of shoes, the product becomes more than just a product. It becomes a moment that must be seized before it disappears. Limited editions are one of the most visible tactics of scarcity. By producing only a fixed number of units, brands create urgency and exclusivity at the same time. When a luxury watch brand announces a model with only 500 pieces worldwide, collectors and enthusiasts scramble to be among the few. This limited nature doesn't always reflect production capability. It reflects a brand decision. They could make more, but they don't, because it's the limitation itself that creates the buzz. People want to own something that others cannot. It gives them bragging rights and, more importantly, a sense of uniqueness. To own something rare is to feel rare oneself. And that feeling is what keeps customers coming back. The waiting list is another powerful tool used to manufacture exclusivity. It's not uncommon for luxury items to be available only to those who can prove loyalty, spend a certain amount with the brand, or simply wait long enough to be considered worthy. The Hermès Birkin bag is a textbook example of this strategy. It's not listed openly online. You can't just walk into a store and ask for it. In many cases, you need to build a relationship with a sales associate, show consistent spending, and demonstrate patience. The process is intentionally opaque. It creates mystery, and mystery fuels demand. When people are told they can't have something, they want it even more. That resistance heightens desire. Exclusivity is not always about limited numbers. Sometimes it's about selective access. By making a product available only to a particular group, brands signal that it's not for everyone. This could be through private events, invitation-only releases, or members-only previews. Even before a product hits the shelves, the message is clear. Only a select few will get it. That language, select, private, exclusive, doesn't just elevate the product, it elevates the person buying it. Consumers feel chosen. They feel seen. And that emotional experience becomes part of the purchase. They're not just buying an item, they're being welcomed into an inner circle. Brands also use geographic exclusivity to their advantage. A certain model may only be available in Paris. A limited fragrance might launch only in Tokyo. A special edition may only be offered in one boutique. This forces consumers to travel, chase, and hunt down the product. And that hunt becomes part of the narrative. Owning the item means having done something extraordinary to get it. That effort increases attachment, and the story behind the acquisition becomes just as valuable as the product itself. People don't just talk about what they bought. They talk about how they got it, where they found it, and how rare it was to even have the chance. Even price plays into the illusion of scarcity. When something is priced higher than expected, it tells the buyer that the product must be in limited supply or of superior value. This is psychological anchoring at work. If a regular purse costs $300 and another is $3,000, the brain assumes the more expensive one must be better. That assumption often goes unquestioned in the luxury space. High price becomes a filter, weeding out the masses and signaling that the product belongs only to a particular class. The fewer people who can afford it, the more desirable it becomes to those who can. The high price isn't just a barrier, it's a statement. Drop culture is another modern evolution of scarcity marketing. Driven by hype and fueled by social media, this strategy involves sudden, limited-time releases that create a frenzy. Fashion houses and streetwear brands alike have adopted this model. A product drops at a specific time and sells out within minutes. This fuels urgency, competition, and the thrill of getting lucky. When something sells out instantly, the people who get it feel victorious. The item then carries emotional weight far beyond its material value. Resale markets capitalize on this by listing sold-out items at even higher prices, reinforcing the idea that scarcity equals worth. In many cases, brands use scarcity even when they have the ability to mass-produce. They deliberately underproduce or restrict supply to maintain an aura of exclusivity. This isn't inefficient, it's strategic. Brands don't want their products to be everywhere. Ubiquity kills desire. When something becomes too common, it loses its appeal in the luxury world. That's why you rarely see deep discounts or massive inventories from luxury houses. Their entire ecosystem is built on restraint. They create more desire by offering less. In this way, scarcity becomes a form of control, not just over the product, but over the consumer's emotions. Another layer of exclusivity is built through personalization. Custom orders, made-to-measure services, and bespoke design options reinforce the idea that the product is made specifically for you and only you. When customers feel like they are receiving something tailored to their tastes, they value it more. That one-of-a-kind experience becomes unforgettable. It's not just about the brand anymore. It's about the connection between the consumer and the creation. The fewer people who own what you own, the more precious it feels. That emotional bond becomes a form of brand loyalty, rooted in the idea that the brand gets you in a way others don't. Social media has magnified the impact of scarcity by allowing people to flaunt their exclusivity. When someone posts a rare handbag, a limited edition sneaker, or a private shopping experience, it instantly becomes aspirational content. Followers admire it. They ask where it came from. They wish they had it. And that digital envy turns into real-world demand. Brands now count on influencers and celebrities to amplify the scarcity narrative. A single Instagram post can turn a quiet release into a sold-out phenomenon. The image of exclusivity becomes self-perpetuating. Once something is seen as elite, the masses begin to chase it, often without understanding why. Only knowing that it must be valuable if everyone wants it. Exclusivity also plays a role in how luxury stores operate. Unlike traditional retail, where the goal is to attract as many customers as possible, luxury boutiques often do the opposite. They minimize foot traffic to protect the brand's mystique. Customers may need an appointment. They may be asked to wait outside. While this might seem counterintuitive from a sales perspective, it serves a deeper psychological function. It reinforces the idea that shopping here is a privilege, that the brand is doing you a favor, not the other way around. This subtle power dynamic keeps the brand in control, and consumers responding to that control feel compelled to prove their worthiness through purchase. Packaging in luxury retail isn't just functional, it's ceremonial. The unboxing of a scarce item is theatrical. A ribbon is carefully tied. A dust bag is folded. A thank you card is handwritten. All of this reinforces the idea that what's inside is not ordinary. It's rare. It's sacred. And that ritualistic presentation makes the buyer feel like they are unwrapping not just a product, but a treasure. This treatment enhances the perception of rarity, turning a simple transaction into a memorable event. When people remember how they felt opening the box, they remember the brand. Some brands even create internal hierarchies within their customer base to deepen exclusivity. VIP levels, loyalty tiers, and client rankings determine access to the rarest pieces. The more you spend, the more you're rewarded, not just with goods, but with priority, invitations, and status. This gamification of exclusivity keeps high spenders engaged, not just for the products themselves, but for the privileges attached to them. It's no longer just shopping, it's competing for favor. And in this game, the prize isn't always what you buy. Sometimes the real reward is just being recognized as a top-tier customer. In the world of luxury, time can also be used to signal rarity. A product that takes months to create implies superior craftsmanship. Long delivery timelines add weight to the idea that what you're getting is worth the wait. When customers are told that an item must be handcrafted and won't be ready for 6 months, they're more likely to believe it's valuable. Even if the delay is orchestrated, the time itself becomes part of the item's appeal. It transforms the waiting process into a form of anticipation. And anticipation enhances desire. The longer someone waits for something, the more meaningful it becomes when it finally arrives. Scarcity also allows brands to control pricing power. By limiting availability, they reduce the pressure to discount. Items retain their full price, or even appreciate in value, simply because there aren't enough to go around. This pricing integrity is rare in other sectors, but essential in luxury. It tells customers that value doesn't diminish over time, it increases. That reassurance solidifies the perception of worth. And it makes buyers feel like they're making a smart investment, not just a purchase. In many cases, they're right. Some rare luxury goods gain value on the secondary market, creating an entirely separate economy fueled by exclusivity. The psychology of scarcity and exclusivity works because it connects deeply with human emotion. People want to feel special. They want to stand out. They want to own things that others admire but can't attain. Luxury brands deliver on that desire, not by flooding the market, but by pulling back. By making customers work for the opportunity to buy, they make the product and the buyer feel extraordinary. That emotional experience becomes embedded in memory. It's not about what was bought, but what it meant. Every step of the luxury journey is carefully engineered to preserve the illusion of scarcity. From product design to retail experience to after-sales support, everything signals that the customer is entering a world not available to everyone. That world is built on access, privilege, and desire. And that's what keeps people coming back, not just for the product itself, but for the status, the recognition, and the thrill of having what others want but can't have.